Good morning, everyone. I cannot believe I stand before you. It's almost July 4. In the midst of summer, we're just a couple of weeks away from that. We finally have some good news for you, though. Before we get into that, I'd like to ask anyone if you have any questions today throughout this, simply put your comments, list them in the comments, and we're happy to address any questions you may have about gas prices around the country. Of course, they're declining now. So, getting to some of that good news. And again, if you're with the media, if you have any questions, just throw the questions in the comments field. We'd be happy to get to them at the end of the segment here. But some good news, and that's that gas prices are going down ahead of July 4. We're seeing the national average now back under the $5 gallon mark. It continues to decline as I sit here, which is certainly nice, although prices are still very high. It's going to be the most expensive July 4th we've ever seen. But prices are about 8.5 cents a gallon below where they were just a couple of weeks ago. And the good news is that prices we expect to continue to decline, maybe 10 cents, maybe as much as 20 cents by July 4, and that's the national average could go down 10 to 20 cents. So that's the good news. And it could continue beyond that. Obviously, there's a lot of volatility in the market, so things could change beyond where we see them. But for now, most states should see substantial relief, or at least noticeable relief, as we continue progressing towards July 4. And I'll say the one exception is the Rocky Mountains. Some of the areas of the Rockies, due to a refinery fire back in March at a refinery in Montana, supply is very tight in the Rocky Mountain region. So areas like Utah, Idaho, Wyoming have actually seen prices inching up. But I'm hopeful that even in those areas, once supply starts to build in the next week or two, that prices will start to recede there as well. But for the rest of us, most of the country, most states should continue to see prices going down. And that's a trend that's, well, we've been into it for about 5 to 7 days, and it should continue for, like I said, another week or two. I'm hopeful it will last through the July 4 holiday. So all those travel plans for people traveling. By the way, if you're traveling, let us know in the comments. Curious if you're driving this year or if you're not driving. Are you doing anything different this year because of high prices? What are you doing? Are you trying to drive more efficiently? Are you using the GasBuddy app? Are you using the payments card that we have? Would love to hear from you on what you're doing differently this year in light of the high prices. But having said that, again, we're down about 10 cents a gallon from our peak that we experienced back on about June 12. We haven't come down a long way, but we'll continue to go. A lot of the reason that this is happening is the price of oil has gone down about $15 a barrel over the last 2 weeks. That has caused the wholesale price of gasoline to start going down. Some of the issues, mainly in the Great Lakes, that caused prices to jump beyond $5 in Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, Illinois, have started to improve. And that's the good news there, is that refineries basically are back online, producing more gasoline. Now, we were supposed to get a report from the federal government today on gasoline stockpiles. That report has been delayed, so we'll have to see. What the information, the newest information is. But that's been the trend, is that things have been improving. Oil prices are down. I will say part of that is because of jitters over the economy. Obviously, the Federal Reserve raised interest rates last week. There are concerns growing that the economy might be slowing down, and for that reason, oil prices have dropped. But gasoline inventories are starting to look a little bit less ugly, I'll say. 10% below the 5-year average is where gasoline inventories currently stand. For diesel, distillate inventories are currently 25% below where they normally are. So markets are still quite tight, and that's why prices remain elevated. But we will see relief, both diesel and gasoline over the next couple of weeks, though the price of diesel will continue to remain at a pretty big gap to gasoline. Diesel prices still in the 570s. They will come down maybe 5 to 15 cents over the next 2 to 3 weeks. Definitely not as much relief. So if you're driving around a diesel, unfortunately, not as much good news for you. Prices will be at the highest level ever. And again, will you be getting out on the road? Prices have deterred some people. There are some behavioral changes taking place, people driving more fuel efficiently, some people staying closer to home, some people simply not going away from home for July 4 because of the high price of gasoline. But if you remember back to our summer travel survey, 33% of you responded saying that you were going to hit the road for July 4. That was a little bit lower than what we saw for Memorial Day. Apparently, Memorial Day, everyone gets real excited for the summer. July 4, a lot of people hitting the road, but not as many as the unofficial kickoff to summer with Memorial Day. Overall, demand is not really going down because of high prices, and that's kind of the fascinating thing here. And I would suspect that a lot of people are not wanting to stay closer to home, especially given where we've been the last 2 summers with COVID and lockdowns. The federal mask mandate is now gone, so people are traveling and getting out and about. And gasoline demand, it's weaker than it has been in previous years, but it is by no means very low. It remains to be very high. So Americans biting the bullet on those gas prices. Again, if you have any questions or if you're a member of the media, throw the questions in the comments and we'll try to tackle those here at the end. Overall, 70% of you said that high gas prices weren't going to derail your summer travel plans. Again, that's from our summer travel survey that we released in May. Very surprising, but indicative of what we're experiencing. People just want to hit the road. But high gas prices having some impact, but it's not completely keeping many people from hitting the road. There's been a lot of talk about President Biden's federal gas tax proposal, waiving the federal gas tax. That's still something that would have to be approved by Congress. And of course, politicians on both sides of the aisle have made it less than clear if that's something that's going to happen. If it does, that could save basically everyone close to 18 cents a gallon. Now, it does depend on how the law is worded. Keep in mind, stations have thousands of gallons of gasoline they have in their underground storage tanks. So when that law comes into effect, the biggest question is, will the government make them sell through that inventory that they bought at a higher price? That could cause any pass-through to be a little bit slower. Or will the government say it's retroactive? Even those gallons you already bought, we'll give you a refund for. If that is the case, then the decline could be more rapid. In Georgia, they did not apply it retroactively, and that's why Georgia's state gas tax holiday was a little bit slower to be seen in terms of the impact at the pump. It took a week or two. But in Maryland, it only took, I would say, 3 to 5 days. So it was all the difference in how the law is worded. President Biden had talked about and requested that states follow along, but it doesn't look like a whole lot of states are interested. California has the highest gasoline taxes in the country. While the federal tax on gasoline is 18 cents, California's state tax is nearly 70 cents a gallon. And most states, the state tax is quite a bit higher than the federal gas tax. So I would say it's fairly unlikely that states go along with this. Now, some states have already implemented state tax holidays. Georgia, Connecticut, and New York all have tax holidays that are continuing. Maryland's tax holiday ended. So it really just depends. Some states are still discussing this. And again, it depends on how the law is written. But yes, most of the savings does get passed along to motorists. It just takes time depending on if stations have to sell through their taxed fuel before they can get access to that tax holiday. What are the issues with the tax holiday? Well, there's a couple of them. Part of the reason why we are in this predicament of high gas prices is because of high demand and low supply. And reducing prices is likely to incentivize more Americans to fill their tanks at a more brisk pace. So demand generally goes up when prices go down. And so the risk is at a time that we are here because of the imbalance between supply and demand, that lowering the federal gas tax could cause demand to go up, thus exacerbating the situation we're in. In addition, if there's a large hurricane this year, we could still see a super spike in gas prices later this summer. So keep that under advisement. If you're planning a vacation in August, especially early, mid, late August, we could see gas prices shoot up if there is a major disruption in the form of a hurricane or other refinery outage. So that's something that could happen from mid-August to mid-September. But in fall, I do think we'll start to see some relief. For those of you hitting the road for July 4, we've got a couple tips here for you on what you can do. Of course, the Pay with GasBuddy card, which has blown up in terms of the popularity. The Pay with GasBuddy card links to a checking account. It saves you up to 25 cents a gallon. You could also get our premium Pay with GasBuddy card that guarantees at least 20 cents a gallon savings That's a program that's $9.99 a month. So check out those programs, pay.gasbuddy.com. You can check them out on the GasBuddy app or on our website. Also, for those of you crossing state lines, check out the awesome search feature the GasBuddy app has. You can find stations all along your route by telling the GasBuddy app where you're going, and it will very quickly show you all the highs and lows. Or you can use our trip cost calculator, which is on the website. It will also show you, based on your vehicle make and model, where you should be filling up. Of course, driving more fuel efficiently, it's not the fun thing to do, but that can save you 10 to 25% by extending the amount of miles you get out of every tank. So just slow it down a couple miles an hour, leave a few minutes early. You'll be surprised how much better you can do. And again, if you have any questions, just about ready to start with those. So throw those questions into the comments. We'd love to tackle those for you. We'll start it off with Anna from Live 5 News in Charleston, talking about the government deciding to suspend the gas tax. How will that impact prices? Well, it will certainly reduce prices. Again, it will take a few days for stations to pass that along, depending on how the legislation is written. But overall, I would expect stations to pass along that 18 cent a gallon decrease. Of course, like I'd mentioned, that's something that has to be approved by Congress, and it's certainly less than guaranteed that Congress will approve that. But for now, if there's any other questions, throw those out. The good news, gas prices continuing to decline for July 4 across most of the country. The price of oil has been trading lower. If you're in California, unfortunately, prices there are still well over $6 a gallon. But make sure if you're hitting the road July 4, check the GasBuddy app, especially if you're crossing a state line. Generally, you can see differences of 20 to 40 cents a gallon by crossing into a state line or out of a state that's cheap. So make sure you're aware of those state lines. But with that, remember, check the GasBuddy app, sign up for the Pay with GasBuddy card. Until next time, wishing you all a very happy and enjoyable July 4. Drive safe and check out the GasBuddy app today. Take care, everyone.